And we are live. Welcome to the Covestro Home Office Talks. And thanks for joining my modest home office in Cologne, Germany. The world in a pandemic is still very much run from home offices. So we connect my home office with other interesting home offices around the world to get you the latest insight for how the society and the businesses are solving the problems we're all facing, and of course also at the same time building a path towards a new normal. There is a playlist on YouTube you can use to check the previous episodes of Home Office Talks, and feel free to reach out to that to find out of the other guests we have had on this talk. Today we talk about the role of the chemical industry, specifically in Europe. The chemicals industry is an enabling industry. This is why the functioning of this industry is essential for many countries in Europe in good times and the bad times. Actually, our very first episode, we talked with Hanno Brümmer, Covestro's global head of production for the polyurethane business. And he talked about maintaining the production from his point of view in these very challenging times. Today, we take this dialogue up a notch by chatting with the guy who runs CEFIC, the European Chemical Industry Council. CEFIC is the voice of the large, medium and small chemical companies across Europe, of course, including also Covestro. As we're broadcasting live, you can pose live questions. So please write them down below and we'll answer some of them towards the end of the chat. And with that, let's open the line to somewhere in Belgium, somewhere in Brussels, where we should see Marco Mensink. There he is, Marco, Director General of CEFIC. Good to see you, Marco.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Marco, the current health crisis has affected you, me, and everybody. Would you like to share a little bit about how you experienced the new normal so far from your point of view?
It's getting harder. So we've been in the office now for 9 weeks. Meaning our home office, and I should say your office looks a bit cleaner than mine over here. My children changed opinion from saying you're never home to it's time you leave, and I would agree with that part. But no, all in all, it's been quite good. It's challenging with the kids not being in school. I think you all recognize it, quite challenging to have a series of telcos every day in a row. But we've been doing some great work, and it's actually going quite well. CEFIC team is safe. That's important. We are planning our return to the office at the end of May, following the rule of the Belgian government. And so far, the team has been performing extremely well. So all in all, quite good. The challenging bit may be that we can walk around the village, but not much further. And I think I've now seen every street in my village, like most of you.
Yeah, and of course, I've read the news. Belgium has been hit quite hard. But I can tell you, Marco, a digital home like this is really easy to clean. So
Okay.
It does have its upsides. So CEFIC represents a really wide spectrum of interests. I mean, you have 670 members and affiliates, as far as I know. How is CEFIC dealing with the current crisis?
So I must say it's been quite an adventure, and our role has remarkably changed. The first thing, of course, was to get the team home and safe, and then we started getting the requests to supply chemicals to Italy. Very early on, as our Italian colleagues are in Milano and surroundings, we got the news how tough it was in Italy. Our president is Italian. And we tried to learn from what was happening to the Italian colleagues. So getting hydrogen peroxide there was a first. Then we shifted to disinfectants. I can say we've had a great cooperation with the European Commission and with ECHA, the chemical agency, to try to help the regulation help increase production of disinfectants in Europe. And you will have seen lots of activities of the companies, but it moved forward and it became firefighting. We spent weekend time trying to liberate active pharmaceutical ingredients from India. And we've also found how interconnected the sector was. To give a strange example, at some stage, leather tanneries were closed in Spain and Italy, which led to a shortage of gelatin, which that might mean you have no more gummy bears. That's okay, but that was also the soft covers for the pharmaceuticals. So day by day, week by week, connecting to the companies, trying to solve problems, having CEO on the phone in a call every week, having the national colleagues on a phone every week, and spreading information, but much more practical than before, trying to solve practical solutions. And in that sense, especially inside the European Commission, DG Grow, DG Sante, we are on weekly calls with commissioners. We've received a lot of help to just see that we could make things better. And that's not a normal advocacy focus we have. We are normally focused on legislation. In this case, we are very much focused on improving the situation for the companies and keeping them running. That's, I think, what has kept us going so far.
Yeah, and it's I think it's truly astounding to think about the supply chains of the chemical industry around the globe and how interconnected they are, and just a missing piece somewhere can really disrupt a supply chain somewhere else. You mentioned about the global level, European level. What's your take on the global collaboration, also from the CEFIC perspective?
It's been interesting, remarkable. The same way we've learned from the Italians, the Americans have called us early on. I've been on the phone with my colleagues in ACC on a weekly basis as well, as we were ahead of them in the curve. We actually received masks from our companies in China who came forward and donated. And even early on, the Chinese colleagues reached out to see how they could help us. So with the companies like yours and Covestro operating globally with the contacts around the globe, I think that has worked. The hiccup has been around pharmaceutical ingredients. That's a big file for us, and a discussion in Europe if that needs to come partly back to Europe. As we've seen the shortages in hospital rooms get really tight at some stages in the last weeks. But wherever what we learned could be of help, we have spread the news across the world. We run a specific COVID tracker. So every colleague around the world fills in the situation on their industry in that country. That's updated every week, and that helps the global companies also cope and find the local regulations. Currently, I think things are running better. And you will have seen that with the examples we have that you see on your screen right now, we have listed of the company activities. You can get an overview of what our companies have done. Maybe important. Also there we focus to show how our industry has contributed and pretty much show our activity. We thought that was the most important.
Yeah, and you can truly, I just blended in the website where you can see country per country, also from Finland, of course, really important country, on what is being done by the local companies to mitigate the situation, but also to build a path toward a better future. Marco, you are kind of watching from a bird's eye view the entire chemical industry. How is the response from your point of view so far? I mean, if you look at all the companies we can also see on the map, how do you feel the chemical companies are pulling their weight, and how they are, from your perspective, doing what needs to be done?
I think it's been amazing, and that's not because I work for this industry, but we have discussed with the team that this was a time to be proud of our sector. People started working together that never worked together. People started helping the healthcare sector very fast, donating disinfectants, helping to get production chains up and running. And even with the CEO calls, we've had practical issues. How do you approve a test that's approved here elsewhere? This is how we have found to the separate
and it looks like we're having small connection issues to Brussels.
I help you with that. I'm still there.
Yeah, yep. Now you're back. This is what happens in live broadcast. This is what makes it so exciting.
It probably means my son is on the PlayStation. I will check how that's the home office challenge.
Yeah.
No, what I want to say is we've seen the industry really step up, really be active in a very positive way. And we've seen that people recognized how important chemicals have been in the value chain. And we saw the closer people looked, the more they became aware of that without anyone else making that point clearly.
Yeah, and I can only agree to you from the Covestro side. We have been also supplying our materials to many medical suppliers and also supplying some personal protection equipment to hospitals. Also good to see that employee giving programs have kicked off, also providing financial help to some of the hospitals and care homes in some parts of Europe. So I think it's great to see how the industry is coming together, working together to solve the common problem. So it's great to see that kind of solidarity. We already mentioned about the great map that we looked at, where you can see the different activities from the different countries, also the different companies. So I think it's easy to see that the chemical industry has a systemic relevance, and which is maybe even more visible today than it was before the coronavirus. But Marco, if we look into the future, can we kind of, or should we kind of continue where we left off before the coronavirus, or are we seeing something different as we resume operations?
I think life will not get back where it was. And we should say as well, this was not only for our sector, the corona crisis, there was also a crisis on the oil prices. The two things came together, which I think will fundamentally change our sector. I think governments have realized sometimes how dependent we are. And in CEFIC, we'll always stick to the benefits of free trade, to the benefits of trading around the globe. But you will see that we'll somehow rebalance reshoring activities to Europe, strategic stocks on some products and some substances, and an awareness that it's not only the windmill, the solar panel, the medical equipment that you need to really look at if that's strategic for Europe, but it's also the silicones that make the medical equipment, the plastics that make the lightweight cars, where you need to reassess your value chains. And I hope, and it's currently the situation, we monitor this carefully. Right now, you see stories in the press of people who speak up saying we value this industry without any organization or push behind it. People start to realize. I hope that feeling stays also in future policy. We are an extremely strong sector in Europe. We're still the largest producer. We bring 46 billion added value to the European economy. We have kept running during the crisis, and in that sense, supporting those sectors that are so resilient, they keep running and keep people employed, is hopefully a lesson people will remember and put us in a better space in the coming years.
Yeah, it's really good to kind of see how when you're missing something which is not working, I mean, you see when it's gone. And I think we have now seen all the vulnerabilities of the supply chain, but also appreciation when it works and appreciation for understanding the different parts. Cool.
Absolutely.
So let's see if we have anything on the live stream. I'm looking at my phone, which is a new system, to see whether we have any questions or not this time. It certainly looks like we don't have anything, or then my system is broken. But even if it is, we know on social media we have the opportunity to also continue the dialogue on a virtual basis and also on a text basis. So, Marco, thanks very much for dialing in from Brussels. Thank you for your valuable time, and all the best.
Pleasure, and enjoy your office. It looks great.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. There we are. Thanks for watching. It was great to have you dial in again for this talk. As always, we truly appreciate your feedback on this series, so keep it coming. Our next guests are already scheduled. Michael Karus from Nova Institute and Christoph Goethler, one of Covestro's brilliant researchers in CO2 and renewables as alternative raw materials. They will be both up next Monday, the 18th of May, on the very hot topic of green recovery. That's going to be 4 a.m. Central Summer Time. So stay tuned, stay safe, and stay healthy.
Thank you very much.